All right, this is Nexxlegacy Radio. I am Brandy here with a beautiful guest here to talk to the world about her release of poems. And you can actually, it's available on Amazon right now. It's Sunset in Toronto. It's really going to tug on your heartstrings if you are an avid book reader, and even if you're a first-time reader, you're going to enjoy it. And I have beautiful Victoria West as my guest on Nexxlegacy. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much, and thank you for that nice introduction.
I appreciate it. For the listeners out there that is listening or just getting a chance to get to know you for the first time, tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing, and what's been your biggest motivation during this journey.
I started writing in 2010, and at that time I started writing about fashion in Toronto. And my first endeavor in writing was with a personal blog, fashion, style, beauty, and more, .blogspot.com, which later became victoriawest.net. And I wrote about fashion in Toronto for the next 10 years, up until 2020. Meanwhile, I had published my first book back in 2013, which is called Bits of Fashion, and it was a collection of fashion essays and interviews, and a review of the fashion scene in Toronto, the way I was experiencing at the time. So after my first book, I continued writing about fashion, and fast forward to 2020, when the pandemic hit, the fashion scene in Toronto went quiet. I haven't attended that many fashion events anymore, and I didn't write about fashion that much anymore. So instead, I focused my attention on poetry. And this is how I started writing poetry during the pandemic. I also started reading a lot of poetry books, and I started getting myself accustomed with the other poets' works, such as Rupi Kaur, Amanda Lovelace, Courtney Peppernell, and I felt inspired, reading their works, I felt inspired to write poetry myself. So I started by writing poems, a few at a time, and a year later, I published the book Sunset in Toronto. So it took me almost a year to write it. Then editing and proofreading followed after that, and in October 2021, I released the book, which is now available on Amazon. So it's a collection of 100 poems divided into 3 parts: feelings, experiences, places, and a lot of the poems are inspired by my own life experiences, starting with my childhood until nowadays. So because I haven't been as active on the fashion scene in Toronto, and as a result of the fact that I worked from home like many other people during the pandemic, dealing with isolation, dealing with the global pandemic and so on, I found this energy in me, and it was a way to deal with the pandemic and to deal with the ravages of it. So I have this book now, Sunset in Toronto, my first collection of poetry, and it's been a great ride for me, and I love how it turned out. And now I work on promoting it and share it with the world, sharing it with the public. It is available on Amazon, and I am looking forward to make it known to a wider audience now that it's out there.
Absolutely, and I could definitely appreciate that. Victoria West is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and and I just really want people to go to Amazon and go grab it right now if you're listening and will be listening. Sunset in Toronto is available now on Amazon. One thing that I found intriguing was Sunset in Toronto is divided into three parts, like you said, when it comes to feelings, experiences, and places. They're all kind of intertwined together when you think about it. And I think it's hard for some people, I'm not saying all, but some people to kind of filter out how they feel emotionally and what they're experiencing. And even in fashion and going to visit different places, just adjusting to culture, different things like that. Do you find that the norm nowadays, where it's still as I guess you could say as broad as we are right now and as expansive as we are, people still have difficulty dividing their feelings in a sense?
Yes, I guess you're right. So what helped me during the events of the past 2 years was focusing my energy on positive things as opposed to getting myself taken down by the bad news that were coming onto us every day. So I preferred to look at the silver lining of it, which was the fact that we had more time on our hands, and which we could use in a more efficient manner than our active lives had allowed us before that. So I'm hearing from my acquaintances, my friends, from people around me that they could use this time for more reading, for reconnecting with their family members, for spending more time online, like Skype and Facebook Messenger, and video calls with friends that before they didn't have as much time to do that. More time for their hobbies and so on. So what helped me and what I think helped other people in terms of dealing with their feelings and emotions is that they could focus their energy on the things that they couldn't make time for them before, say in normal times, before the pandemic, because our lifestyle in North America is so active and so hectic, and it had been my case just the same. I also have a full-time job. I used to go to the office every day, and during the pandemic, I worked from home like many other people. So that time that I didn't have to spend on traffic, I could use it much more efficiently. And it was a good time to help understand my own feelings and sort through the priorities, to prioritize what is more important for me now, or how I can spend this extra time. So for me, that this is how I experienced it, all of it, and in general, the bottom line is that I looked at the silver lining of it, and now 2 years later, after the pandemic, I'm glad that it wasn't all bad for us, that there was something good out of it, and it's important for us and for our mental state that we had the opportunity to make something good out of it instead of letting the bad experience take over us. That's my
I think you're so right, because it's important for us to remember everything. And sometimes it's hard to compartmentalize your feelings or your emotions or what you're going through. But I love how the positive nature that you want to bring to the forefront, just experiences, learning about it, making sure that it's okay to feel your feelings. And it's okay to be in specific situations where, you're going through your own specific journey, and just kind of take what you can out of it, because I feel like it doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, whatever the case may be, you're still going to need some positive vibes, some good reinforcement, some good opportunities to be motivated to continue to go through life. And I think it's an extension to this is just my opinion, really. Just it's an extension to what I feel like we were on this earth to do. Like, we're not supposed to go through life alone. We're supposed to share it with others who can be motivated by that, and also connect with people too. So throughout your journey right now, not just you writing, but just in general, like, how have the responses been to not just your writing passion, but also you being an author, trying to be able to get this word out to the entire world, because we do need more positives than negatives nowadays.
And I think this is what makes my readers, those who have read the books, this is what makes them appreciate it. So far, I am happy to hear that the readers who had the chance to read my book had a pleasant experience with it, and they enjoyed it. And more than once, people have mentioned to me that they can see the positive language in my book, in my poetry, and this is what made them enjoy the book. So this has been the main feedback, to be honest, to my book, and the positivity of it, and the making the best out of what you have. This has been the greatest reaction to those who have read the book by now, and I hope that the other readers who will take on it to read it, I hope they will feel the same, because that was, in fact, my intention with these poems, to get the positive out of each of the experience that I write about. And I have to tell you, I am a storyteller. If you read my book, or if you read some of the poems in the book, you may have noticed that many of them are stories, and I like to build those stories with a beginning, a story plot, and an end, like a fairy tale in a miniature version, or a story in a miniature version in the form of poem, if you like that. So I am a storyteller, and I love to make stories out of poems, and I also love them to have a positive message. This is what I tried. You also may have noticed that my book doesn't have trigger warnings, and that's because I didn't want to trigger my readers. So I didn't write anything triggering in order to be compelled after that to indicate that there are trigger warnings. So so this was the reader's reaction so far, and I'm glad that they get that out of reading the book, because that has been my intention in the first place, the positive message.
And I can tell. I went on Amazon myself and purchased it, so I'm just waiting for it to come to me. One thing, Victoria West is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. One thing that I can appreciate is, as much as I'm listening to you talk and how passionate you sound about just not just overcoming just obstacles of the pandemic and what it took for you to get to your point right now. What's important for all the listeners out there to really understand too is, we all have our own journeys. We all have our own stories to tell. We all have our things that we go through. But it's okay to take a moment, not just to go buy the book, but to really just, pick it up, read it, and just really dive into exactly what you said. You have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end. But is it really an end? Because I'm sure there's going to be more books coming your way or poems coming in your way. So it's just another extension that I feel like
it's true.
People out there, right?
Yes, it's true. Yes, absolutely. And so the stories themselves, the poems, when you read them, it feel like that. Some of them that they have
right.
that they have the structure of a story or a fairy tale, but it also in the same time. They may sound like a closed chapter, which may hint to a next chapter to him. So yes, you're right about that. Absolutely. In further books and further stories that I want to write from now on, because I don't want to stop here. Yes. That's true.
I love it. I love it. Victoria West is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and that's the one thing. Again, it's available now on Amazon. Sunset in Toronto. You can make sure you go ahead and get that now. It's it's definitely good to hear when you go through. And I'm sure there's going to be book signings or things like that you'll do. I'm sure if not now, then in the future. If there is any authors out there who's probably stuck and I'm sure you've had this situation, because I've heard you earlier say that it took you about a year or so to be able to get to this journey here, but there's people out there that has held on to either their story or stories for multiple years and really don't know the direction of trying to be able to get the word out. Is there any encouraging things you can be able to say to the next inspired author out there that's listening to you that want to, let me just go ahead and take a chance and get out there and try to get this out there to the best of my ability?
Well, first thing for most is put it down on paper. You may have it as an aspiring writer, as an aspiring poet, you may have it in your head, and multiple poems and ideas and stories may be in your head. The very first thing to do is to write them down on paper and get that first feeling that it can be a book if this is what you want to do in the future or in the near future. And then don't give up. It will be a challenging road and a challenging journey, and there will be many obstacles on the way, and I have had my own obstacles to overcome over the way, but the important thing is not to give up. And my book is currently self-published because I wasn't able to get a book deal with a traditional publisher. But that didn't stop me to publish it, and that didn't stop me to get the word out. So modern technology is on our side, fortunately. So if an aspiring writer doesn't attain success immediately or in a short period of time, it shouldn't be an obstacle for them to continue until they do attain the success that they aspire for. So just keep trying and keep writing. Don't give up. So every experience and everything that's happening around us can be a source of inspiration for our creative process. That has been my experience, and I can give that advice to other aspiring poets and writers. Find experience in everything around you, and if it's hard, if you find it hard to make other people pick up on your work, like say traditional publishers, the self-publishing is a great opportunity for aspiring writers. That has been my case, and keep going. That's bottom line is keep going and don't give up. That's what I would advise those who want to take on this journey.
I think it's good, and I think it's also inspiring. Like I said, that for you, it's always taking a risk to put your vision out there. And if people can relate, or if people can get out there and be inspired by what you did, because sometimes it does, sometimes it gets a little scary. But at the same time, if you really want to get your brand out there as far as what you're trying to give, because at the end of the day, Victoria, you're giving this to us, so you're giving a piece of yourself to us to share, and we should literally embrace it. Because I don't know about you, Victoria. I know some people, that's been holding on to their gifts for so many years, and they're just afraid that they're going to get a response that's, either positive or negative. But I say this, and you can add on if you want. It's okay if you do that. If you're going to get any kind of response, but if you finish your product the best way you see fit, and you put your effort into it, nobody can really tell you anything. They can always give you feedback or whatever the case may be, say, yes, this is great, or no, it's not. But you put it out there the best way you possibly can, and you can live with that at the end of the day, right?
Yes, absolutely. And let me tell you, no response or negative response will happen. It's inevitable, but you learn to not to take it personally. That's the greatest help. No response or negative response is not because of your work is not good enough or not great enough. No, it's not. It's not that. It's the competitiveness of this world. But
Right.
for each of us, for the writers, for creators, for poets, it is important that you believe in your own work and in your own craft, in your own art. As long as you believe in it, then you will be able to make other people believe in it. And rejection will happen. I also have faced my amount of rejection from publishers. Some of them didn't respond at all. Some of them said, no, unfortunately, we won't go with this because this and this, or sometimes not even giving me any reasons. And I accepted that. And it's just taking it one step at a time and moving forward, because those rejections did not convince me that my work is not good. I believe in my own work, and I love what I have now in my hands, and that's the most important thing. Not to let it to get to you, and not to take it personally. Just believe in what you can do. That's the most important thing.
I believe in what you can do, and I'm looking forward to not just everybody to go grab it. It's available right now. Sunset in Toronto is available on Amazon now, but also the future work that you have in store or planned or whatnot. And it's really going to be great to see your evolution and how you are continuing your creative journey through writing and poems and everything else that comes with it, and it's appreciative. And if you could do the listeners a favor, and if you could and if you go ahead and put everything out there in terms of where you are located via social media, so they can be able to follow you and connect with you and go buy your book as well. So the floor is yours for not only the shout outs, but go ahead and let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yes, so my book is, as we already mentioned, available on Amazon, and it can be easily found just by searching Victoria West Sunset in Toronto in all departments or directly in books or Kindle store. The book is available in both print edition and Kindle Unlimited. So that's for the book itself. Also, my social media, I can be found on Instagram at Victoria West and Books with underscores in between the words. And on Facebook, I have a page that's called my Facebook page is called Writer Victoria West. And if you search in Facebook in the search box, Writer Victoria West, it will come up. Or an easier way to, for those who prefer to go by link, it's facebook.com/Writer Victoria West, and it will also come up. So my website is victoriawest.net. Anyone can, if they check it out, they will be able to connect with me via the website. I also have the contact page on my website with my email address is visible there, available there. So there are a few ways that readers can connect with me, or those who would like to check out my work. Instagram, Facebook, and my website, victoriawest.net. So yeah, that's where I can be found. Thank you. Yes.
That is perfect. Victoria West is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. And Victoria, not only thank you for giving us your gifts as far as making sure that it is available for us to consume, but not only wishing you the very best in everything, not just this project, but future projects, but also thank you for, being vulnerable as well, because like we talked about earlier, it's always a vulnerable situation for us to put out anything that we do that's creative for us, but someone may look at it differently one way or the other. But I appreciate you not just for all of that, but continued success in everything that you're going to do moving forward. And you are very appreciated. It'll be great for you to come back and maybe we could do something in terms of like a book club online where we can just be able to have callers call in and maybe discuss it as, once they make the purchase or something like that too. But I really and truly appreciate that you are taking time out, not just for the Nexxlegacy listeners, but also the future people out there who will be buying your book.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yes, I would love that. That would be a great idea. Yes, I would be open to such an idea. Thank you for suggesting that.